What up, guys? So I wanted to do kind of a fun little video, and this is about all of the countries in Europe that you can get citizenship through descent, and this means parents, grandparents, great grandparents. If they're from that country, you can get citizenship. Now, if people are telling you that you can go to some of these countries with like great grandparents, don't listen to them. There is a cutoff. Every country is a little different, but once you get past the great grandparent age, probably not going to get it. But anyways, I'm going to break this down into the first generation, second generation, and third generation citizenship by descent. Now, if you're interested in one of these countries, you can look each one up individually because there are different requirements and paperwork that you have to do to qualify. You might have to go and live there for a year before you're given it. There's different paperwork. Sometimes they require a blood test to demonstrate that you are related to them. Some countries like Romania, it's okay if you're adopted. There's different rules for it, all that kind of stuff. We'll get into some of that. But anyways, let's get into the first generation citizenship by descent. That means if your parents are from these countries, you can get citizenship. And this is all for Europe. I don't remember if I mentioned that, but these are all the European countries. I will do the other countries later, but really Europe is really the specific for citizenship by descent. Anyways, first generation countries are Austria, Belgium, Cyprus, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Sweden, and the Netherlands. Now, all these countries, if your parents are from there, you can get citizenship. Because it's your parents, it's much easier to prove this. All the paperwork is probably already exists over in the particular country. The immigration documentation is likely all there, and so it's very straightforward for you to get citizenship as well. It's the easiest to go after. Usually, it's easier to prove the nearer to your generation we're talking about. Once we get into the great grandparents, it can get a little fuzzy at times, but we'll get into that in a moment. Okay, now let's get into second generation citizenship by descent. Bleh. This means if your grandparents are from, and you don't need all four, you really just need one. If one grandparent is from one of these countries, then you can qualify. But the European countries that fall into this category are the Czech Republic, Malta, Portugal, Romania, Slovenia, and Spain. And the interesting thing with Spain, so especially if you're from Mexico, if you're from a lot of South American countries, there's a good chance that you do have descendants that are from Spain, but it's several generations removed. We're talking about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You might not be able to actually document that, but you have you have ancestry in Spain. The good thing about Spain, if that is the case, is you can get residency and citizenship living in Spain after 2 years. I have friends that are from Peru, moved to Spain. They have Spanish ancestry. They can get it in 2 years. Now, if somebody like me was to go, it could take up to 5 years for residency to kick in. Citizenship gets a little. There's other issues with that, but for me to get residency, I have to do 5 years, then get citizenship in 2 years. So there's still some perks of even if you have ancestry and you're beyond the grandparent stage. So something to consider. But all these different options, like I said, Romania, it covers adopted children, so that's totally fine. Again, you have to show it with paperwork. Yeah. If any of your children are adopted, it's a good idea to look into the specifics regarding this, and you probably should talk to immigration attorney about the exact paperwork because some of the paperwork can be tricky and you might need help getting it. So yeah. And third third generation citizenship by descent. This has a nice long list, but let's go over them. It's Bulgaria, Croatia, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Poland, and Slovakia. Now, these are all countries where if you have great-grandparents that were citizens and they came over, this can get a little tricky to prove. Little tricky. Because paperwork, this great-grandparents, we're talking about around World War II, pre-World War II, documentation wasn't always the best. And that's where it can get a little tricky, because if you have a grandparent that came from Italy, you know it, they knew it, you still got to prove it. Sometimes that's hard. Now, hopefully, that paperwork still exists and the immigration documentation still exists. That isn't always the case. A lot of paperwork was destroyed around the time of World War II. I'm in Argentina right now. That happens severely. There is just all kinds of paperwork that doesn't exist anymore regarding immigration, people movement from Europe into Argentina post-World War II. There's stuff that just doesn't exist for various reasons that we don't need to get into. But for whatever the reason might be, that paperwork might not be there. So you might have to do some searching to prove that your grandparent was actually from the country. If they still, held all their documentation, good for them and good for you, because it'll be a lot easier for you. But yeah, you might need to do a blood test to prove that you are related to them. But this is another thing. You'll want to talk to an immigration attorney. It's a European immigration attorney with something like this. I mean, you might pay €1,000. It depends on the country, of course. Depends on how significant the paperwork, how troubling, how hard it is to find. But it's worth looking into if your great grandparents were from there, because getting that European passport, it really opens up the rest of Europe. It's easier to buy vacation homes or to move and to get home. You can move to Italy, and maybe you don't even want to live in Italy. Maybe you'd rather live in Malta or Spain or Portugal, whatever. It becomes so much easier to move about and to buy properties and all that stuff. So it just opens up the entire continent. And it's worth. And besides, it's just kind of cool to have a couple passports. Look at me playing cards with my passports. Anyways, these are all of the European countries that have citizenship by descent. Now, I didn't include any countries that are like part Middle East, part Europe, like Georgia, Turkey. Those kind of countries can kind of straddle multiple. These are all just very specific Europe. I can get into the Middle East stuff another time. But these are just the European countries. But anyways, if you have any questions, comments, any of that good stuff, let me know down below. Like, subscribe, and I will keep the videos coming out. And for now, I will just catch you guys later. See ya.